In this video, I'm going to be diving into my trend predictions for fall and winter of 2023 and 24, as well as I'm going to go into how I actually go about trend forecasting. Now, I'm not going to claim to know anything about the actual industry. I'm not an industry professional. This is all purely based on pattern analysis and intuition. However, I have been very accurate with my trend predictions in the past. I predicted when Uggs would come back. I predicted when Boston Berks would come back. I predicted when cardigans would come back. But of course, I wasn't making YouTube videos at that time, so I have no actual proof of any of that. But that's why I really wanted to make this video. I think it's going to be so fun to look back on and see if I was right about any of it. You'll never guess what I'm drinking right now. It's chocolate milk. Don't judge me. In my opinion, every trend can be traced back to nostalgia. Every trend is a reference to a previous trend. Every era of fashion draws on a previous era, but there's always some sort of twist that makes it contemporary. So either the actual piece will be a little bit different than it was in the past, or just the way it's styled will be completely different than how it was styled in a previous era. Now, before we take a look at specific sort of micro trends, I want to take a look at the pattern that full eras of fashion usually follow. What I have found is that every era of fashion falls into one of two categories: tradition and rebellion. So other words that would be associated with tradition are classic, neutral, elegant, understated, soft, sophisticated, maternal even. Other words that would be associated with rebellion are youthful, risky, wild, colorful, bright, sharp, loud, etc. And an era of fashion often imitates its political climate. So stable political climates, economically and socially, usually bring traditional fashion eras. Whereas economic instability and social rebellion create kind of an atmosphere where people want to make a statement and rebel with the way that they dress. Two prime examples we can look at are the 90s and the 60s. So the 90s in America is described as a time of peace, prosperity, and rapid technological change. The Cold War ended early on in the decade. There was strong economic growth, steady job creation, low inflation, and a surging stock market. So the stability of the 90s brought with it the epitome of elegant fashion. Even casual dress in the 90s was extremely classy and understated. Colors were neutral, silhouettes were soft. The whole era of fashion felt almost maternal. With the political climate that the 90s brought, most people were able to feel safe and taken care of, and this was reflected in the way that they dressed. On the contrary, the 60s were a time of rebellion, both politically and in the fashion world. The 60s is often associated with the phrase power to the people, and it doesn't get more rebellious than that. It was the 60s that we saw the emergence of civil rights, opposition to the Vietnam War, feminism, Mexican-American activism, environmentalism, and the beginnings of gay rights. With all of this rebellion came the loud and bright fashion of the 60s. Super bright, vivid colors, sparkles, sequins, sharp silhouettes. Fashion was experimental and youthful. I find this really interesting. David Brooks, a columnist for the New York Times, wrote that in the 90s, America was experiencing moral self-repair as, and I'll just quote him, many of the indicators of social breakdown, which shot upward in the late 60s and plateaued in the 80s, were now in decline. So that political story that was told from the 60s to the 90s is perfectly reflected by what people wore. Now, that's as far as I'll dive into American politics, but broadly speaking, it feels like we've been in our unstable era for quite a while now. In my opinion, this has been reflected a lot in Gen Z fashion, but I'm getting the feeling that we're gonna enter back into a traditional fashion era. I think as a collective, we're gonna start getting sick of experimental fashion and we're gonna return back to nostalgia. I feel this way about interior design too, but that's a topic for another video. And if there's any truth to the Strauss-Howe generational theory, we are nearing the end of our crisis period and should soon feel the stability of spring once again. I fucking hope. But whether or not that optimistic political forecast comes true, it is definitely what we're all craving right now. It feels like there's been uproar for as long as I can remember, and it would be nice to have some resolution soon. And I think people's fashion taste is gonna start reflecting that with a pivot towards traditional style. One of my candles just exploded, so I had to blow it out. Most people are probably not conscious of this connection between political climate and their fashion taste, but to put it simply, people get nostalgic, and it's about time for a 90s fashion resurgence. To put it even more simply, we want comfort. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk, and without further ado, I present to you my trend predictions for fall and winter of 23 and 24. Capris were a staple in the 90s, but I think they died for a bit because they're generally not that flattering. However, I think there is one type of capri that can look really flattering and elegant, and that is fitted low-waist capri trousers, specifically black or white. Take any of those features away and they become ugly. Loose capris, ugly. High-waisted capris, ugly. Black fitted capris with a little cheeky low waist, it's giving 90s model. And I believe in my heart of hearts that they will have their moment soon. Loose fitted camis are so nostalgic, and when done right, I think they can be so sexy. There's something so graceful and effortless about rocking a tank top that looks like it came out of a 3-pack from Target. Specifically worn with nothing underneath, I think it gives the perfect juxtaposition of sexy and pure. The 90s cami trend has been kind of a thing for a while, but I found that it's mostly been tight camis that are ribbed and or have lace trim. And what I'm specifically predicting is a comeback of non-textured spaghetti strap camis that are loose fitting. And yes, I did include a photo of myself for this one, but that's just because I couldn't find any photos of them being worn the way that I wanted them to be. Just picture like 90s off-duty hot mom wearing a cami around the house. Chef's kiss. Cashmere zip-ups. Again, please excuse the subpar photos. I couldn't find any on Pinterest, so I resorted to screenshotting scenes from Friends and The Sweetest Thing. But I feel like the fact that I couldn't find any photos on Pinterest just shows that I am predicting a trend that isn't here yet, rather than picking up on one that's already coming in. Cashmere zip-ups are, in my opinion, the natural progression from the button-up cardigan trend. I don't think button-up cardigans are going anywhere, but I think cashmere zip-ups, their more casual counterpart, are gonna start entering the scene. Again, most of these trends are based on nostalgia, and to me, cashmere zip-ups remind me of like hugging my mom when I was little. They're cozy, classic, and flattering in a way that I can't really put my finger on. Fitted long-sleeve bodysuits, specifically paired with high-waisted jeans and a belt, are another classic 90s staple. I can envision these exact outfits being worn around the holidays this year with some hoop earrings and like a brown lip. And the good thing about going back to traditional fashion is that, as its name suggests, it is very timeless. If you wear a fitted neutral long sleeve with jeans and a belt, you're never gonna look back on that and go, what was I thinking? And the same could not be said about the more rebellious eras of fashion. Something we haven't seen much of in a while is jeans tucked into boots. And I feel like the last time we saw it, it was 2012s and the jeans were as skinny as you could possibly get them. You wouldn't be caught dead tucking loose jeans into boots. But that's exactly what I predict is gonna be in next. The world isn't ready for skinny jeans to come back, but I think we're ready to revisit tucking jeans into boots. Again, a key feature of this era of fashion is looking effortless. And loose jeans kind of haphazardly tucked into boots, I feel like could be the next cool girl thing to do. The photos I included are of jeans tucked into boots, but they're not really styled the way that I had envisioned. What I'm picturing is like straight leg, pretty loosely fitted jeans tucked into like an engineer boot or a black leather stiletto pointed toe boot. Okay, that last trend is a perfect segue into this one, which is engineer boots. Engineer boots seem to me like the natural progression from the cowgirl boots of coastal cowgirl summer. Because they're leather, engineer boots keep that Western vibe, but their hardware suggests that they fit more in fall and winter. I also think we're collectively being more open to the wide calf boot, and I personally love it. I was able to find heaps of photos of engineer boots on Pinterest, which suggests that they might already be a trend, but I do think they're definitely going to stick around through all of fall and winter. Crochet boots. I have been predicting their resurgence for a while now, and I have a sneaky feeling that this year might just be the year. The last time these were trendy, I was buying them from Justice, so surely it's about time they come back. The The comeback that Uggs have had in the past year really gives me hope that the Cardi knit Uggs will also start to be added into the mix. I think they'll be styled super similarly to how people are styling the Ultra Mini platform Uggs. And if you live somewhere where it stays relatively warm, I think they could look really cool with shorts. I could see them working with soft shorts like boxers or PJs, but I could also see them looking really cool with like loose denim shorts. I'm very tempted to get them even if they don't become trendy, just to experiment with how they could be styled. Okay, this one might be controversial, and it might just be my boldest prediction, but I just have a hunch that looser fitting, full coverage undies are gonna come back. Granny panties have been kind of trendy in photo shoots recently, but I'm predicting that these old school briefs are gonna come back to everyday life soon. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure my generation was the first one to declare that thongs were for every single day. Perfectly peachy bums were in, and underwear lines were the devil. But I think that this next wave of traditional fashion is gonna bring with it the acceptance of natural beauty and casual effortlessness. Not to mention that cotton briefs are straight up just better for your health than thongs. I just have a hunch that we're gonna collectively declare that underwear lines are fine and full coverage undies are cool. There, I said it. Some of you are gonna hate me for that one. The only real accessory trend I have on this list is pearls. And all I can really say is that pearls are quite obviously traditional and classy, and we just haven't seen them in a while. Specifically, what I think are gonna have their revival this year is oversized pearl studs. I could see them adding really cool juxtaposition to like a Western leaning outfit. Honorable mention goes to tennis bracelets, which I almost put on this list. So if those come back too, just remember that I at least mentioned them. Okay, next is braids. And braids have been trendy for a while now, but we've mostly been seeing them in slicked back ponytails. I think looser braids with wavy textured hair are gonna replace that clean girl slicked back style that everyone's been loving for the past few years. Perms. Another antithesis of clean girl hair. But paired with simple outfits and classy makeup, I think perms can look extremely elegant and beautiful. We haven't seen them in mainstream beauty in a while, and it's really only a matter of time until they come back. And I just have a strong feeling that this year is gonna be the year. To round out my predictions, I'll talk a little bit more about beauty. As you might have guessed, I'm predicting most of the trends to reflect 90s beauty. Some of you might hate this, but I really do think the powdered makeup look is gonna come back. I also think natural lips are coming back. While a lot of people have been viewing big lips as the epitome of femininity, I think there's something to be said about little dainty features looking really feminine. I'm not saying you should be worried if you have naturally plump lips. I'm just saying I think that naturally thinner lips are gonna be way more embraced. Don't be mad, but I also think thinner eyebrows are gonna come back. I don't think they'll be as thin as they were in the 90s. I just think that the neatly groomed powder brow look is gonna replace the unkempt brow that we've really been embracing over the past few years. Lastly, it wouldn't be 90s beauty without lipstick, and I think lipstick in general is gonna have a big comeback. And that might sound silly, but if you think about it, the last time actual lipstick was trendy was in our Kylie lip kit era. We've mainly just been seeing natural looking lip liner and lip gloss. Now, I have no desire to go back to the matte lipstick of the Kylie lip kit era, but I think that classic satin lipstick, especially in brown tones, is gonna resurface in conjunction with the dainty natural lips. In conclusion, I think we're re-entering our classic era. Most trends that I've predicted existed in some form in the 90s. All trends have been done before, and just take turns periodically resurfacing with some sort of contemporary twist. That twist might be a change in the piece itself, or it might be a change in the way that it's styled. I backed up my trend forecasting with a lot of theory and analysis, but a much simpler way of explaining how to predict trends is this. Ask yourself what you haven't seen in a while. What do you remember from 10 to 15 years ago? And how might that stuff be worn today? Another thing I wanted to say is this. If you don't like any of the current trends, don't be trendy. If you love all of the trends, eat them up. No matter what you wear, you will simultaneously be behind and ahead of the trends because everything comes back around. Predicting and analyzing trends is so much fun, but the trendiness of your outfits in no way reflects the validity of your style. Everyone's style is valid. Your only job when it comes to trends is to sift and sort through them to figure out which ones you like and then leave the rest of them. That's the only way fashion is fun. Anyway, let me know if you like this kind of video. I am so excited to be able to look back on this video in a year or two and see if I was accurate at all in any of my predictions. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of these, and feel free to comment any of your own trend predictions. I think that would be so fun to read and see what you guys think as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!